learned to an election. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a little, but I still reinvest it. Fear how I feel, then you feel less a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but they sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it down, we gon' get it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your watch list coming in on March 17th, 2020, and the stock market is really going to go crazy this week, and even the next 2 weeks. I have a lot of important stuff to tell you. We saw the SPY go down 12%. The Dow closed just under 13%, 3,000 points. Now, the biggest single-day point drop in history. We already saw that last week. We closed below the price. I think this was the closing right here that we gapped down from. Again, only the second time in history we've seen that after a 5% limit halt down. Today was crazy. This was a very, very crazy moment. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. I have a lot of things I need to go over. I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to explain the Fed, what's going on, the signals we have, and we need to clear a lot of stuff out of the way. But this is probably the most pivotal moment right here, right now, today, and what happens in the next 2 to 4 weeks. Now, we heard this from Brazil, and even to explain what's going on with the market. Is this a bad time to buy? I mean, kind of whatever's happening here, the key you need to understand is this is transitory. So meaning, as these economic realities are coming to life and the market's pricing this in, we are transitioning to a lower expectation of pretty much low growth or negative growth on the GDP and what this means for companies, let alone now transitioning to a world. Now you're seeing the whole entire world react to this. This is a transition to now, how is the market going to react? So now the question is how do we get to that place and really what happens? And that's why these next 2 weeks and what develops from here today is important. And now with what the Fed did the emergency cut last night on a Sunday, which is very odd. The meeting was supposed to be on Wednesday. I believe they canceled that, but we'll see what happens. However, I've stood by it. The Fed knows something, so I'm expecting something this week. But these shifts that you're seeing are huge. So I have that for you. I got the keys. I have plays that I've made today and plays that I'm going to be looking at coming into tomorrow. A few different types of companies, even the ones we kind of even sold off at, like Roku. I'm mad we sold off that, but we saw these plays. But then there's also the same stuff we're seeing here now with the option pricing. So I got all that, the keys, everything we need to look at for. So let's get right into it. You guys know what you need to do. Drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open. It's the first link in the description, and it is pinned in the comments. We better see you there in the morning. We are live, opening bell till closing bell. It's free 99. It costs you nothing. You could witness history live. Watch the stock markets. We're going over any of the important meetings as they're happening. We're getting the news. We're seeing what's happening. So be there. All we ask is that you're positive and respectful, and everybody needs to work together. I don't even care if you like me. I don't care anything. That's not what this is about, and this goes well beyond the stock market, my friends. So please, let me even start with even saying this before I get to the keys. I'm telling you, you're not going to be disappointed. I got a good keys list for you. So let me rant here for you just for a second, because this is very, very important. I mean, I'll start it with the first key, my friends. This is bad. Everything happening now, this is bad, but it's not only just the economical sense of what's happening, and I don't believe this is priced in, but we don't know what's going to happen. That's why the actions taken today are important, but everybody, this is the time, I'm just telling you now, what you're seeing with the Fed, the fact that, they don't close the NBA for no reason, all these sports events, we're talking multi-billion-dollar industries, they don't let the stock market drop this much, and you rarely see both Democrats and Republicans working together right now. This is not a time to be petty at all for anything. Please listen to the people in your community and understand what's happening. This is the next main key that we're looking at. We are replicating Italy, my friends, and if you don't understand what the problem with that is, Italy is a different geographic scenario, but our numbers are replicated, and we have different rules and what they do here, and we have freedoms, and please do not take it for granted. The point is, this is serious, whether you think it's serious or not. Please listen. They're saying stay inside for 15 days. Try to limit contact. If you don't have to go anywhere, I would not do that. Yes, I know. Am I fear-mongering? Am I not supposed to say this? No, that's not what this is about. These are official recommendations. You're slowly seeing the tide turn. Everyone's paying attention. The fact is now, what happened in Italy, it got to the point of overloading their system. This is what everyone's worried about. This is what they mean by flattening the curve. There's enough water bottles. There's enough TP in the world. However, if everybody went at the same time, that's going to be a problem, but even more so for hospital beds. And what you guys are failing to realize, or at least people who are ignoring this, is that this is coming now into the healthcare system. And what this means, this is what happened in Italy. We're already seeing wartime measures. That's what they're doing. At that point, it becomes simple statistics. So this is for all the young people out there. If you guys are younger, healthier, you have nothing to worry about. Yeah, life is good. I know, I get it. But the point is now, if you ever did have to go to the hospital in this next few weeks and they're doing some basic statistical analysis, they're going to treat whoever has statistically a higher chance of living, and that is going to be you young people, and they're not going to have room for anybody else. You know what else that means? There is kids who need hospital help as well. There's people who get into car accidents. There's people who break bones and many other things. Those people will not get serviced, and that is what happened with Italy. And depending on what happens here in this next 2 weeks, that's going to be a problem. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying I see that, and a lot of people see that right now. The numbers are not looking too good. If it gets to that point, that is not what you want. So please, please, please just be smart. You don't have to, if you don't have to go anywhere, don't do it. There's that. The next piece of thing was the news. Be careful of everything. Again, here, even what I just said is my opinion. So if you disagree with me, disagree and do whatever you need to do. This is just my recommendation off of the statistics of what I'm looking at with, again, what the CDC is saying, what the government is saying, and most importantly, what the numbers of Italy are saying. And we're already seeing that problem here, but be careful of fake news. People are putting out a lot of news. There was a rumor today that said somebody's cousin, the CEO of Aldi, my brother's friend's sister-in-law works for CNN, and they're saying a national quarantine. No. And this is what I'll tell you what's happening. If that is gonna happen, it's gonna mimic something we've already seen, and that is going to be Italy. They're gonna, and Trump even hinted at it today. I'll talk about that, but it's gonna go zone by zone, and then that would be the final level. But they talked about it today on the Pentagon. They didn't they denied that rumor. But the scary part is they're saying that's not gonna happen now. But if this situation persists, it will get to that point. And will get to that point means that is what we saw with Italy. So the government did not say they will do that. They said it's option on the table. So again, I'm trying to clarify this for you guys so you are actually prepared and understand what to watch for. And that's why Italy is such an important model, and why Italy replicating the United States is such a big fear for everybody, including investors. But the real point I'm saying is, when you're seeing a lot of fake information coming out right now, you have to ask yourself why. And I was very, very perplexed. Who would have something to gain by putting out that piece of information? That is real trying to, I don't know if it's trying to start panic or what. Again, I'm baffled by it. So be cautious, get the news confirmed. All you guys could do is just do the right thing, be smart, listen to your community and officials. And I'm not saying surrender all your rights and liberties, no, but give them 2 weeks, 4 weeks. Let's see what happens and then go from there. But there's my rant. Be careful, be smart. However, the fact that what we've seen here, not trying to start any fear, I'm pretty calm. I'm very passionate about this now, just because we are living through a cultural shift right now. And what this is even meaning with economies, again, more historical days, day after day. The fact that this has not gone away by this point, I think everybody needs to start paying a little bit more attention. And what you saw with the Fed is showing us that. So that is the first thing. What I'm saying now, given that situation with Italy, we are replicating that. This is what I'm talking about. Was Italy last month. We're going through the same thing. So this is even 2 days behind, but we're already around that 3,000 number. And again, even California is doing its own replicating of its own. But the point is, if it gets to this system, this is going to overload the system in general of both. And that goes from healthcare, but then it has ripple effects, not to mention what's happening with travel and everything else. This is not a good sign. But this is what we have to be careful for, because however this plays out now, what I'm looking for is 2 weeks from now is more tests. And as they get this system down, we're going to get a real good idea of the information. And people said this months ago, the virus hasn't peaked yet. And now we're going to see a whole new level of peak. We need to see what happens now in these other countries. But 2 weeks from now is going to be interesting. However, I'm expecting bad news this week. If not, we're already seeing some of this stuff. Some places already closed down. Some people said it could have been that national quarantine. Who knows? But at this level now, the fact that the Fed cut, this is a very, very, very big problem. And now what this has to relate to, the Fed did an emergency cut last night, but this is the fastest move to normalization aka a move to zero, or taking a curve that was somewhat inverted and then normalizing it. Pretty much anytime you see the Fed come back down and start to normalize the curve. Last time you saw this, there was March 16th. That was the first emergency meeting. Then a few days later, they had a scheduled meeting. So again, this should have been our meeting on March 18th. It's the same situation, but they cut now today, then they cut last week, but they went to zero. Even after those two meetings, it went from March till April, they cut 1%. And then come back to December. It pretty much took them the whole year to get to December. And this was during 2008. We had an emergency cut and went to zero already after another emergency cut with another scheduled meeting. This is unprecedented and this is huge. The point is the Fed sees something coming. We already had some manufacturing data, but we are going to get a lot of manufacturing data as well as country balance of trades. And like I said this a month ago, that is going to be the data that is really going to start to hit people. But I think the Fed kind of sees it coming, not to mention anything else that could happen. One thing I speculated on was oil. Oil broke below 30. It held below 30. You might see more escalation from Russia or Saudi Arabia, and that would be bad, but it could also be anything of the economic lens. I don't know what it is. It's very broad-based, but what I'm trying to say is that the fact that the Fed has normalized this move and is turn the curve into what you see now, this is a problem. This is what I mean. So you guys see, this is the yield curve. This is normal. And then again, it gets a little bit inverted. This one wasn't necessarily inverted, but this was the Fed. The Fed controls the 3-month, but you could see this curve, it looks like a Nike check mark. It's not supposed to look like it did here, where this is a normal curve. And at that point, we were at zero. So what's happening, you could see the curve went crazy, but then boom, all of a sudden, they brought this thing back all the way down to normal and dropped the curve. Take a look. This was 2001. Same thing here. They started to cut rates, but notice now, look at that short term. Look how fast it drops as the market comes down. This is how they react prior, but then look how fast they brought it down. When it really was, when they were getting ready for this next leg, they started to drop it down. Same thing even happened in 2006. So look at our curve starts looking a little bit weird. You can see that there. This is just how we looked. We were a little bit worse, but then what started to happen? They started to cut. Right as everything started dropping, you see the cuts, and then guess what? Those are your emergency cuts, but then look at how long it took them to go to zero, and look what happened here. They're trying to stop this now, or I don't know, but the fact is, when you see the big boy Fed move like that, something has happened. So that's why I'm saying this next week is important, even this next 2 weeks. So watch out for this. Watch out for any news. Again, the issues are we're replicating Italy, and like on that same note, Pentagon and Trump, they made two specific mentions today. One, they discussed the hospital beds, but they were very transparent. They didn't answer the question. They said, how many beds? They said, that information is not important right now. They said, we choose not to give it to you. So they were very straightforward on it. They just said they're not giving it to you because people would probably freak out once they get it. I think they're setting up a lot of things in order. Even some people, again, with that whole rumor of the National Guard and doing this quarantine, the Pentagon even answered that question. What they said was that you can't get this National Guard in if you're going to take doctors and other people and then get them to go somewhere. Those doctors are needed where they're at. So picking and choosing and mobilizing everyone, it's a problem, but they're trying to figure out a solution before they get to that. And as well, too, if people just listened and stayed inside, that you could mitigate some of those necessary risks or necessary problems that would happen, just like with what we saw with Italy. So, but this is an issue, and this relates to one of the plays we made today. I did go after Cardinal Health because now I think, like I'm saying, a lot of this stuff isn't priced in. That's where the next earnings season is going to be important. S&P and the Dow have now cratered enough to meet the last earnings expectations decline. However, earnings might decline again, and that is literally right around the corner. That's what I'm saying. We might be kicking off a new level here. I mean, again, things are just tossed up right now at this point. And again, hopefully you guys know, I'm just excited. I'm really passionate. I want you to get this information. Don't freak out. Relax. It's all good. Have a plan and just be smart. I mean, this is just, we're living through a historical time. I'm just in my watch list zone. You know what I'm saying? I love you. Shout out to Cole, man. Thank you guys for watching. That's just a little break. I could get the therapist for you, but I'll just tune in and make you relax a little bit. I'm sorry. We just excited, but at the same time, I'm being very aware, and I hope you are too. Okay, let's get back to it. But not only that, they also talked about both the Pentagon and Trump. Again, Trump answered the same thing the Pentagon did. They're remaining very uniform on this issue. But now Trump said the R word. He said recession. They said, are you a recession? The fact that he didn't blatantly outright deny it and simply said that, he didn't say it as eloquently, but this is a transitory issue where he's saying, there's a lot of pent up demand, and once this goes away, that'll be good. And that's transitory. Once you could get rid of some of these transitory risks, yes, things are going good, but the fact that everybody even mentioned it, even governor of New York and California are talking about it, they're even preparing budgets, but everybody is getting ready for the economic impact. So the fact that the tone and how much this is getting brought up, and again, the normalization of the yield curve, when you see the yield curve do what we just saw, that's historically a sign of an imminent recession here, or that's at least my theory. So keep that in mind. So now I got two more main things here for you. One, China's market's now moving. So China's starting to go down. Stocks in Europe are down to 2011 levels. We're still holding 2019 levels. So we are still the leader. America is still being the safe haven. Another thing, so watch out for that. But another thing, the dollars are the strongest. This is the strongest, this is the biggest dollar move upwards since Lehman. I told you guys that is the deflation theory. That's the problem. But now with that happening, and you're seeing, a lot of currencies are trying to remain stable. Watch how China starts to react finally, but then now watch for a currency float, which is going to be pretty much another country is going to weaken sometime in the next 2 to 4 weeks, because if the dollar's moving like this and they're kind of trying to keep everything stable, to one point you're going to start losing a lot of pegs. Again, currencies aren't supposed to move like this, and there's a lot of risk there. So that's another thing I'm watching for, and this is a pop-off indicator. So if you see us replicate numbers of Italy, things are getting worse. If you see any information negative towards health, hospital beds, health insurance, that's a problem. If you see any other countries go to zero, and the fact that the Fed cut to zero, this was a surprise move. You're going to now see another race with all the, it's going to cause a race to the bottom. That's the next thing is currencies, and watch out for oil. These are all pop-off indicators. So if those go crazy, good or bad, those are going to cause more volatility, and volatility is not going anywhere in this market. This is going to be a lot like last week. You're going to see 5-10% moves up and down, so get ready. And then finally now our TLT. So we did very, very well, and if you guys even saw TLT at the close today, TLT, it started to run up. The fact that it's coming up, TLT is, I still think, watered down a little bit, but even when TLT started to move, you saw the pop with gold. GLD has been our hedge with it, but we're waiting, we're watching these safe havens like treasuries, like gold, to see how they react and to see how people are viewing stuff. But here's the crazy part. Here is our holy hour. This is 9:30. What do you guys notice? 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern. This is the European close. Look at TLT doesn't do anything. It looks like they're stepping in, and then what happens after that? The bond yields start to go down. The bonds are able to get free. We were talking about, I said, remember, that's what I was looking for. They were trying to get ready for it, but you know what this is? This is Europe. There's the European close. If the European stocks, and now Italy was already a risk to begin with, and the EU was already pretty crappy to begin with before that, this is possibly a European liquidation, or the company that's failed, or someone who blew up. It's going to be either Deutsche or somebody in Europe, but that's what this is looking like. The fact that the bonds aren't moving till European close, that's telling you something, and this is what we need to watch out for. So watch the same thing with gold as well. So that is pretty much it. Stay safe. I hope you're ready, but let us get into the plays. As far as plays, it's the same strategy and understanding both the short-term and longer-term contracts. So I'm going to tell you guys how it is on stream. If anything gets crazy, my job is to just make sure you guys don't buy complete dog shit. But even at this point, we need to focus on the news here as much, because this is going to create opportunities in general. But I mean, that's what I did with some of these plays. I kind of just said what not to get, because people, again, if I say don't trade this, please do not trade anything on here. After trading shilling, take it seriously. If you guys are going to joke around and say I'm YOLOing, I'm gambling, we're just not going to, the people who pay attention, they're going to understand the language I'm speaking here. Please do not gamble. Please be smart with this. I've already seen people make a ton of money last week, and they've already blown it up, not to mention just everything going on. Please be wise with this. But in general now, what I'm looking for is I'm going to be playing the shit out of those short-term SPYs and SPX. I did a YOLO on that today. We got one of those 1600s for the end of the week. It's far out of there. The key with all these, you either get in the money, you make a lot, but now the premiums are so high on the shorter term, I'm going to flip those for IV just to get bigger moves on there. The Oceans 11s are offering opportunities, and those who don't know, Oceans 11 is when the market closes, you have 15 minutes to trade certain indexes like SPY. So the options, if they have a daily expiration, so there's options that expire today, you could still trade these, and the idea is get them for low premium, and you could flip them right before close, but it's extremely risky. That's why I say don't trade, don't try this. But I'm going to be positioning short-term SPX plays, both even up and down. Even if we hit another low, I want to look for some call plays just to hedge it as we we enter a new low and see how it plays out. But that was the first play. The next play was Walmart, and this is a play I like because Walmart now, I have the May contracts. Remember those old May ones? We got those late. Those are up 300%, so they're not up as much, but the fact is those were still too expensive to begin with, so you have to watch out with those. However, these Aprils weren't too bad. We got these Aprils. I grabbed 5 of the 65 puts at 59 cents, so these went up about 50% there. But why did I grab these? Because at 59 cents when I got them here, they're pretty much the same price as Thursday. And then even from the bottom, they're up just about 100%. So it wasn't too bad. And that's the thing, because after that run up on Friday, the Walmarts got cheaper with that IV. So the fact is, a lot of stuff is coming down here. Again, a lot of earnings estimates have been changed. Walmart is still holding up very, very well. So that's why the puts aren't there. If anything, depending on how tomorrow plays out, watch the Aprils, watch the Mays. Walmart is fairly cheap. I don't want to say that, but if we do get that regime shift and we start seeing lower guidance, then these are going to be cheap. If not, we have to see. But Walmart's been moving a little bit weird, so we'll see. However, I got those. I'm going to hold those. I still have the May ones, so my idea would be try to flip on these and then hold the Mays, or I'm up on the May ones, might sell out of the expensive ones, then hold these ones and then go from there. But that's the first play, and then the last play I like is CAH, and I have another play to look at too that has to play with this kind of regime shift theory is what I'm calling it. But CAH, and I like this one because I got till September, but we were listening to that Pentagon thing, just how they discussed the hospital bed situation. That news is going to come out eventually, and I think that is going to create a whole new perspective. But why did I go with CAH? They supply hospitals. It's all part of the medical industry. And you guys saw what happened. UNH, those puts we got from last week, those June, July ones, those are doing good. But they're at a low. They're already, they've already been battered down. That's why it makes sense. They've lost already so much. It's hard for them to go down even lower. But this is kind of the same philosophy we saw with the airlines. So again, anything at this point, it looks like anything could happen. That's why I got time, and then they were cheap. But the key was all medical companies were down 10 to 15% today. They were only down 4.5%. So that's one reason why I got it. Next, I got a lot of time. And then before the IV crush or IV run-up came in here, there was no volume on here. So that, again, the Colt, you guys got to see it. I brought a lot of attention to this. And I said the play. I said I got something with time. I said nothing sooner than April. And then I told him, I said I paid nothing more than $70. And that's the key. We got these at 64 cents. I bought 4 of them. So why is this phenomenal? Because even though it's a 50% drop in the stock, which is big, there's not too many companies that were offering 50% premium or 50-cent contracts even on a 100% drop with this much time. I don't know why the market makers are willing to do it, but it makes sense. These are brand new contracts. They had 0 open interest for a reason. These contracts were never traded except for today, so they were brand new. They didn't know how to value them. So we stole them, but that's why as people started getting into them, it balanced everything. But again, you saw the same effect all across the board. So even though I got the Septembers, you could have got any of these other ones. That's why I grabbed September for a reason. I wanted to leave room for both timing, but then also I was figuring, I was like, well, hey, if they just added all of these new contracts, I mean, you could have got pretty much when I was looking at the Junes, but it was the same ask price for the Septembers. So I said, give me the Septembers, and that was a good trade there. So watch out for that if you could find any company. Now, be careful. The key is finding certain affected industries. Like Snapchat, you could find some cheap contracts, but if the contract starts getting into like a $10, $12 range, it limits the meat on the bone. But that's why I grabbed this play. And then finally, the next play I'm holding, but I'm going to set up for this. It all depends on your budget. If you got a bigger budget, you can scale in big if you want. If you're a big budget baby, you could do what it is. But the May Amazon puts. So we got these 1060s, and we got this at $600. So it's kind of crazy that thing's up at $2,000 now. You guys see, we got it kind of all in the mix here. I think we got it the day before right there. So we got it at a good time. Remember, we waited, and as you guys could see, if you're patient, these contracts could work in your favor, but this sets up for earnings. That's why I like it. But there's wide spreads. But what I'm saying is wait for this, because we need to see wait for the bounce, because if these start to come down or the further out the monies, this is playing for earnings, and that's the next level you can't forget. If this whole regime shift, there's going to be opportunities in setting up for every single earnings play right now, and that is what I want to go about doing, because they're even holding value. You guys remember that Ulta We missed it. We were totally wrong on the Ulta play, like absolutely wrong. And we played earnings. But remember, I said I went big on that for a reason. But those plays are up 60% now. And that leads to another play, those Adobes. So the same thing happened. So really what I want to start getting ready for some of these earnings plays. But we have to be careful with timing. So again, I'm giving you these general theses. We want to set up for these. But this is very unfavorable now to buy some of these options unless you have a reference point that they're not expensive. So we need to find a way to finesse it and wait for one of these bounces to come in here and take advantage of it. But even then, those Adobes meet that criteria. I'm still holding that play, but those plays finally went back up today, and we were wrong. So that even Adobe went up 15% on earnings, and we're still up on that earnings put play. So you're seeing the double whammy potential there. So watch out for those. Everything else, like I'm saying, I like the Amazon. We have those mRNAs. It looks like these might be the virus candidate. They did get the FDA approval. I'm surprised Thermo Fisher didn't move, but watch them. Watch IWM. One thing to notice in that play, again, and this is, there already has been a regime shift, you guys, and a lot of Robinhood glitch. It said, I don't know why it's saying we're down there. So it said we should be up a lot more. I know a lot of people had that question there, but this is what I'm saying. If you guys don't realize yet, one, it has to do even with the ghetto spread, but this was $1,000 now into 30 grand. It was up 45 in the morning. You're getting crazy premiums now, even on the second level of puts that shouldn't have gone up that much. But now you could see the ghetto spreads. That's what's going to cause issues with your balance. And I tried to close out one of them, but the ghetto spreads are making it very, very hard to walk away with additional profit. So because you have to close the side you sold, and with the lack of liquidity, it's creating a problem. So be cautious even ghetto spreading. I mean, it's kind of weird to say, but just understand what you're looking to get out of this. But at the same time, too, make sure you take profits. I did take profits on that Boeing play. They even had their credit rating cut after hours today, but watch them. Watch UNH. We're still in that play. So UNH dropping $40 is huge. That UNH is up 260%, but we put a bigger amount in there, so that's why it's a lot larger there. But that plays till June on there, so actually it's up 300%. Excuse me, I was factoring in other positions. But watch them. Watch that Adobe one. I like that. TLT is going to be important. Even Tesla, they started to drop a little bit more after hours, and we have that one play. Remember, I did that crazy YOLO on there. That plays up 200-300%, but it's again wide ask. So be careful with the spreads in these situations. And then Shopify, I was looking at premiums. They're a little expensive, but if I am going to go after anything here, this is another potential play I like because, again, they still have a lot of meat on the bone. And if you see earnings and guidance change, this could be a good one. I might even want to look for earnings on there, but we will have to see. The prices are still inflated, so you got to be careful with that. But even watching Roku, I can't believe even Roku right now. I remember I sold out of that 80. We had till this week too, but no. But either way, watch them. Watch HD as well. We're in that play. That plays up a lot. I ghetto spreaded it. That one's doing a little decent, but the key with HD, 18%. Even banks dropped 18%. You guys have to really pay attention to what's sold off here and just pictures. I mean, the market only dropped 9% now. A lot of stuff moved down, so we have to watch for some bounces and push and pull. But besides that, check out the bookings. We're still in that play. This is going to be a big one. You might be able to scalp it here, but the fact is we're still in those spreads. I like them. If you get filled and try to close them out, please call them out and let us know what you got filled at. But I'm still watching that play, watching a repricing even in travel. I like Facebook, but I still have old plays that came back in value. And I said they're dog shit, and someone said, well, why wouldn't I sell them? Because they're so out of the money. I wouldn't buy them. I've already made them free. But if I know I want to play more downside, I'm not going to sell out of a good position that I'm in now, in the sense that it's just giving me exposure. So as we hit new lows, then I'm going to start taking them, but be cautious. So if the puts get cheaper, I will probably buy some, but Facebook's a little different than even in general. You could play Microsoft and Apple, but they are getting a little expensive here, and it's harder. You guys are even seeing how some of the weeklies played out that we played last week, so keep that in mind. But that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're hydrated, healthy, ready to go. Make sure you post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. Make sure you take care of yourself. Listen to the people in charge. Be smart, be wise. You just got to do the right thing, and now's the time to stand firm. If you haven't noticed, things are going crazy, but the strategies are staying the same, baby. I need you focused. I don't care if you made money, lost money. You're going to learn something. You're sitting in the middle of history right now. There's going to be opportunity. This is a transitory environment. This is not going to just last for 1-2 weeks, as clearly it's been shown. So let's Let's go. Change up your attitude. Come positive. Now's the time we got to work together. So let's get it, baby. The cult has your back. I got your back, Chad. Everybody, man. So let's show some love. Protect the people around you, the community. Be smart, baby. And straight up, I love all of you, baby. This is the time we come together. The virus don't matter any color you are, anything. It don't matter. This is, you try to fight it. You can't fight it with guns, baby. It don't matter. Democrats, Republicans, it's all Chad, baby. It's all one cult. So we love you all, baby. Get your head in the game and get ready to take advantage of everything you see, but be smart and be respectful and do not wish any downfall on anybody, man. This is crazy, so please recognize that, man. The goal here is to be prosperous and protect ourselves, our families, and community. So please, please, please get rid of any of that hate. Get rid of wishing anything bad. I could keep this rant going forever, but I love you all. I'm gonna see you in the morning. Thank you all for watching and being positive and respectful. Let's go.